Hey, what's up everyone, Ollie here. So in this video, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. I'm always asked whether you should buy Bitcoin, how to buy Bitcoin, all that sort of stuff. We're going to go into that in this video. So earlier this week, Bitcoin peaked at $48,200 per coin, which is just insane when you think about what it was a few years ago. And it's mainly due to one key bit of news, and that is Tesla bought $1.5 billion of Bitcoin, which is just insane. That's just a ridiculous amount of Bitcoin to buy. And the reason they bought that was so that they could maximize their returns on cash that is not being used in the day-to-day running of the company, which makes a lot of sense. If you have a lot of cash just reserved, sort of sitting in the accounts, at the end of the day, that's losing value because of inflation and the cost of things naturally just going up. So it makes sense to put your money in something which is going to also go up in value. But again, this is quite a risky thing for Tesla to do. But they announced it, they did it anyway. And right after they did that, Bitcoin jumped up a whopping 10% in 10 minutes. Crazy, absolutely crazy. So anyone who has maybe $100,000, $1 million of Bitcoin, you've made some bank in 10 minutes, that's for sure. So there's also word that Tesla may start accepting Bitcoin as a form of payment for their cars. Just imagine you order your Tesla online, you pay in Bitcoin, and your Bitcoin, you probably bought it for 20,000 maybe, or 30,000, whatever it is, and now it's worth 60,000, and you buy your Tesla. Now, of course, there are some tax implications that I think everyone needs to be aware of. When it comes to cryptocurrency like that, and you've bought it as an asset with the sole sort of purpose of it going up in value, you do have to pay capital gains tax on the gain that you made. So for example, if you bought 20,000 of Bitcoin and it went up to 40,000, you've made a 20,000 gain, you pay tax on that 20,000 gain. I do want to make that clear. I think a lot of people are very confused when it comes to that sort of thing. But as far as I can tell, in the US and in the UK, you do have to pay tax on any capital gains that you make. Going back to Tesla buying Bitcoin, there was a tweet. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share it on video. I might blur it. But there is a tweet that Elon Musk tweeted on December the 20th, 2020. And he tweeted a meme of Bitcoin and him trying to live a normal productive life. It's quite a funny meme. And then Michael Saylor, who's another big tech billionaire, he basically replied to the tweet saying, if you want to do your shareholders a $100 billion favor, convert the Tesla balance sheet from US dollars to Bitcoin. And Elon Musk replied saying, are such large transactions even possible? So there is the idea here that Elon Musk was spurred by that tweet and thought, hey, we have all this money laying around, let's put it into Bitcoin and see what happens. And that is exactly what happened, and that's why the value of Bitcoin has rocketed. Now, when it comes to the question of should you buy Bitcoin, I personally think you should. But you should only buy Bitcoin if you understand how it works. And I'm not going to go into how it works in this video because I think that's just a whole nother thing. But there are tons of articles out there explaining how Bitcoin works and what's the sort of purpose of it and everything else. But if you can take the time to understand Bitcoin, what it does and why it's important, I think it is worth buying Bitcoin. I personally think Bitcoin is a good sign of a sort of world currency, you could say, and what a world currency could be. Now, that doesn't mean Bitcoin will be that world currency, but I do think at some point we're going to have a sort of world currency, you could say, just because of the internet. We're all buying things online, we're spending a lot more money online than we used to, and having one common currency that everyone can use around the world makes a lot of sense, I think. Who knows if Bitcoin will be that currency? It might be a completely different currency. But right now, it's really interesting in seeing what Bitcoin does because I think it's a good sign of what could be. How much Bitcoin should you buy? So this is a great question. I think for a lot of people, it should be a small amount, an amount that you can afford to lose, mainly because Bitcoin is so volatile. It just goes up and down so much. You could buy $10,000 worth of Bitcoin and it could be worth $8,000 literally the same day, or it could be worth $12,000 in the same day. And because of that, I don't think it's seen as a safe investment. It's definitely a high risk investment. But if you have a large chunk of savings, especially with interest rates being so low right now, your money is probably losing value if you just have it sitting in your bank account. And if you've invested into stocks and shares and other sort of investments and you still have some money left over, I think it's highly worth just putting that into Bitcoin. Putting some of your money into Bitcoin that you wouldn't really care about losing and that you can just put away and it's not going to affect your life. It's not going to affect your way of living, your current way of living, your standard of living or anything like that. Then I think it's definitely worth just putting that money into Bitcoin. Chamath, who is a big Silicon Valley investor, he was actually an early Facebook employee. That's how he made his sort of millions and billions. He's a big advocate of Bitcoin and he recommends putting in around 1% of your savings or 1% of your net worth into Bitcoin, which I personally think is actually pretty reasonable. So let's just say you have a net worth of 100,000, putting in $1,000 into Bitcoin shouldn't really affect your savings too much. And if you have even more than that, put more in. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think 1% is definitely considered very low risk considering the high risk that Bitcoin is. How to buy Bitcoin. Now this is where things can get a bit complicated. So one of these ways to buy Bitcoin is through an exchange. So there are tons of exchanges out there. One of the most popular exchanges that I think a lot of people are aware of is Coinbase. Now, most crypto enthusiasts will tell you that this isn't a good idea. Main reason is that exchanges do charge quite a lot of fees. They do charge quite high fees, and they're not completely hack proof. They do get hacked quite often. There have been numerous exchanges in the past that have been hacked and people have lost millions in Bitcoin. But Coinbase has been doing really well. They haven't been hacked. Hopefully they never get hacked because that will be bad for everyone. But Coinbase definitely seems to be the one that everyone seems to be going to and flocking to, mainly because they do actually have quite good security in place. For most people who are beginners, I would usually direct them to Coinbase. It's just the easiest choice for most people. But what I recommend doing is when you've bought Bitcoin on an exchange like Coinbase, is then transferring that to a cold wallet. Now you may be wondering, what on earth is a cold wallet? So a cold wallet is basically a digital device that stores your Bitcoin. It's very similar to having a normal wallet, a normal leather wallet that you'd have with your cold hard cash in it. Pretty much exactly the same concept. But there are some risks, of course. Just like having a cold wallet with cold hard cash in it, if you lose that wallet, your money's gone forever. Same with a crypto cold wallet. If you lose that crypto cold wallet, your crypto is gone, you've lost your money forever. Hopefully at some point there's some sort of exchange or bank where you can go and put your Bitcoin into, similar to how we have banks that we use to store our money to get paid, all that sort of stuff. You know, because the problem with Bitcoin is there is no protection right now. With banks, there is quite a bit of protection and they do have to follow very strict sort of security rules and laws and things like that. So hopefully at some point, there becomes a standardized sort of process when it comes to storing Bitcoin, because obviously storing your Bitcoin on a cold wallet is risky. As I mentioned, if you lose that wallet, your money is gone forever. The one cold wallet I do recommend to people is the Ledger Nano. You can get two variants, but it's very highly rated and it's also highly recommended by most crypto enthusiasts as well. It's one of the best ways to hold your crypto. And the best thing about the Ledger Nano is that it connects to your phone via Bluetooth. So all of your crypto is actually stored on the Ledger itself, but then you connect to it via Bluetooth. And you can pay people, you can transfer Bitcoin, you can see the value of your Bitcoin and all that sort of stuff, just like you would a banking app. You know, in a banking app, you can see your balance, you can pay people, transfer money, all that sort of stuff. It's the same sort of concept and it's basically just like a smart wallet. Very clever and it works really, really well. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I do see Bitcoin as a good sign of what a currency could be in the future. The only thing with Bitcoin right now is that we're still very, very early. No one really knows what's going to happen to it, where it's going to go, what cryptocurrencies in general will do for us, especially because there just aren't that many places that currently accept Bitcoin. Once Bitcoin starts being accepted more regularly by big companies, I think we'll definitely see a massive, massive boost in the Bitcoin price. And anyone who's bought Bitcoin in the past or who buys it now are going to see their Bitcoin go up in value a lot. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please leave a comment below. I like to see who gets to the end of the video. Also leave a comment below on what other videos you'd like to see, other video ideas, finance related, business related videos you'd like to see. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter and subscribe for more.